as Paulo was saying, we are today on Plan B, and this is an advantage for you because usually us as organizers, we never get to speak at our own meetups. So as a Plan B, we are always up for it. And this time we will have Paulo as our speaker today. And the topic is business agility from strategy to execution. Okay, I think we will be, most of us, I will try to keep yourselves on mute during the presentation. So we benefit all of the audience, don't having any background sounds coming in. Paulo, do you prefer people to unmute or they will put their hands up and we give, if there is questions?
Yeah, everyone is very welcome to unmute. I will just speed up if I'm falling behind. I will just speed up and finish on time. So
okay.
Everyone is very welcome to ask questions.
So anytime you want, you are free to unmute and pop up the question. Okay, in the end, we'll still have some time for Q&A. So Paulo, is 1 sharp hour is over to you.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm just starting to share my screen. I hope you can see properly. So welcome everyone. Let me just increase my screen here. So I've got 2 screens. First time I'm actually trying this. And I just want to make sure that I see everyone. So as Raquel was saying, so this is going to be kind of a slightly different type of session that you might not be aware. So I'd like to do this as interactive as possible. Also, if you feel like giving your own experience, you're very welcome to do so. If you want to ask any question for something that you've seen that you don't agree or you want to contribute with something else, please do so. Everyone is very welcome to express their own opinion, and I'd like to create an environment where people are safe to just speak out, and give your own experiences, whether you agree or not. Everyone is very welcome. Also, there are no silly questions, so please don't think that you are going to ask a silly question. There is nothing like a silly question, so everyone is very welcome to ask whatever questions you may have, and we will try to answer. I'm not monitoring the chat, so Raquel, if you don't mind monitoring the chat, if something happens, please let me know. But yeah, let's just start. So we've got about 1 hour 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes for Q&A if there is any Q&A at the end. Okay, so 1 hour 50 minutes just to go through the slides. And then another 15 minutes for Q&A. But if you want to stop me at any point with a question or a pending issue or bring your own experiences, please do so. Also, we're going to have kind of an interactive session, as I said. And so I prepared a few Menti surveys. So you can use your mobile phone or your own PC, and you can go to this link, www.menti.com, and here is a code that you need to put in there and just answer the questions. Okay, let me just check one thing. Sorry, 1 second. Where is that? Apologies, just 1 second. I lost where the Mentees. Oh yeah, there you go. So it started. So if you don't mind, what brings you here today? Self-improvement is the first contribution. So please share with all of us what brings you here today. Why are you here today?
Paulo, can we put the code into chat?
Sorry, what is that? Who is talking?
It's Remy here. Can you help us put the code into the chat box?
Oh, you can put it in the chat as well. Yeah, please.
No. I want to use Menti, but I want to put.
And that,
that's fine. Yeah,
use the link.
Yeah, put it in the chat.
Oh, put the link in the chat. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
And the number.
Yeah. The number in the chat. Okay, fine. 1 second.
I'll do that, Paulo.
Okay, thanks. Because I can't see the chat actually. My screen is completely full.
I just added the code just for
Oh,
anybody.
okay, great. Thank you. Femi, your voice was it was not sounding.
Yeah, I'm outdoors at the minute, so I can't
Okay, that's why.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so self-development, new perspectives, learn and connect, strategy, curiosity, meet people, improvement, collaboration, learning. This is actually great. It's great that you are bringing up what you expect this session to be, which actually matches my expectation as well. So as I said, we are all here to share our own experiences and to learn. I don't want to be the only one talking, so I'd like you guys to talk as well and tell us all what you think about some of these concepts. Boredom, I like that. Yeah, hopefully this will be a cue for boredom for 1 hour at least. Okay, so great. We had 23 people that have had their expectations, so that's really good. This is what we will try to deliver. And the next thing I'd like to ask is similar. It's also on Mentimeter. Is actually what do we need from each other in this session? So some examples are, presence, support, respect, right to pass if you don't want to contribute with anything else. Okay, so what do we need from each other in this session? That's another question that is now showing on your screens. So respect, definitely. Direct answers, less waffle. Knowledge sharing, yeah. Knowledge sharing from everyone. I hope that's clear. Yeah. Sharing of ideas and experience. All the questions are welcome. Yeah. Collaboration. Collaboration again. Kindness. Yep, absolutely. Kindness. Experience sharing. Knowledge sharing and experience from different perspectives. Advanced ideas. Yeah, I like all this stuff. I think it's great. I think we are all on the same page. So professionalism. Case studies. Yeah. So whatever ideas that I'm going to bring today are all based on my experience and on my clients. Okay. So the clients that I've worked with. For obvious reasons, I will not be able to actually reveal the client names, but I can talk about industries. So I could talk about, financial services or, automobile industry, telecommunications. Those are the type of clients that I've worked with. And so I can talk about them. And I would suggest you do the same. So if you want to talk about some of the experience, some of the things that you've experienced yourself, don't mention any names, but mention the industry where you worked before and what you've seen and what you've learned. Cool. We've got enough, I think. Great. Thank you so much for everyone. Let me show what is the agenda then. So we're going to talk about business agility. And this is not exactly what Agile is, but we're going to talk about what's the need of a business agility and why we now talk about business agility. And then we're talking about business value, the difference between outputs, outcomes, and impact. And then we're going to show the improvement kata as developed by Toyota in the 70s. And we're going to talk about outcome hypothesis and OKRs, which many of you might have heard about, but the O for me is for outcome rather than objective. Key results, pivoting from projects to products. Why would you do that? And then finally, linking strategy to execution. What's the trigger to link strategy to execution? And also leading and lagging indicators. And then we will end with Q&A at the end. So another Menti, but let's just talk about it. So imagine that you see this advertised, company ABC, and the priorities stated for ABC. What do you think it's odd about this priority? Look. So the Menti is the same. Let me just start a Menti, 1 second. So what's odd about those priorities? So let me show again, or let me just bring this on the other thing. So as you can see, the first priority is improve ways of working with broader business, undertake more initiatives to closely match customers' expectations, change processes to better enable the broader business goals, and build a systematic approach to assessing and aligning risks and security. What do you think is odd about this, or does not actually look right? Any idea, anyone? Very vague. Yeah, that is definitely true. Bullshit. Yeah. Too general, not clear when it is done. Yes. What else? Lacks vision. Yeah, absolutely. Lacks measurability. Yeah, I agree with that. So lacks a lot of things. Not smart. Oh, great. Thank you for pointing that out. Does everyone know what smart is all about? Yeah. Okay. We're going to go through that anyway. People focus is missing. Yeah. Lacks focus. Customer related priority should be higher. Yeah. Well, I'm really happy that everyone is on the same page. It looks like everyone is contributing with great points. And I think most of it has been mentioned anyway. So I like the SMART. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound.
Yeah, that covers quite a few sins there, that doesn't it, that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the point. You know, we see this lots of times. You know, some of the objectives or vision or goals or whatever you want to call it, strategic outcomes from companies are not actually measurable or are too vague or are not realistic or are not time bound. Yeah, so are not time boxed really. And we all know that these things take time to deliver, but you know there needs to be alignment and people need to agree what they actually mean, you know, from a company point of view. Anyway, you've done a great job bringing this up, so it looks like it's very clear what objective of this exercise is. The next thing I want to talk about is actually VUCA. Does anyone know what VUCA actually mean? The little girl doesn't know. So any ideas? Let's start with V. What do you think V means?
Value?
Could be.
Just a guess.
Yeah, it
Just
could be. Thanks, Tom. Anyone else?
Vulnerability. Vulnerability.
Vulnerability could be, but it's
Volatility. Sorry.
Voice.
My word, volatility. My word doesn't come out.
Value.
yeah, it's not value. No. Volatility, Raquel. Volatility. So V is for volatility. We live in a volatile world. So U is for anyone? Anyone wants to guess?
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty, correct. C is for
Complexity.
complexity, yeah. And A is for
Ambiguity.
yeah, that's it. Well done. So volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And if you do a Google search, you'll find thousands of white papers talking about that. That is actually the main problem of today's world. So we live in a volatile, very uncertain, complex and ambiguous world. world, sorry. And those are the things that you've all pointed out in the previous question. You know, those are the things that we need to address when we think about outcomes, objectives, goals, enterprise, company-wide, you know, outcomes that we want to deliver. And most of our organizations are not actually using smart outcomes. And so this is, in a way, you know, this slide actually explains why business agility is ideal for a VUCA world. And we're going to look into the definition of business agility. So what is actually business agility from different angles? So volatility requires accelerating the speed of change to address unstable markets. The world today is we are surrounded by uncertain outcomes. So the moment we put an outcome, if it is not well constructed, you know, we're not sure if we're going to get it or not. And of course, long-term plans are of little use because things change very fast. Can you actually plan more than a quarter ahead of time? That's the question. You might think that you can plan, and you might be able to plan, but things change faster than you can actually deliver them. So no clear cause and effect. So that's why it's complex. There's lack of predictability, and of course ambiguity. There's conflicting information and lots of unknowns. VUCA world, some of the companies that actually, you know, are in this slide all suffer the same fate. They've all somehow, to some extent, either disappeared completely or started by, you know, slowly disappearing. So most of them have actually not trading anymore. And on the right bottom corner, what you see is a statement from Jack Welch, who was actually one of the CEOs from General Motors, actually sorry, GE, and he said, if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, then the end is near. And this is so true for most companies that we know. How many companies are there in the S&P 500 that were there in the beginning? You know, the top 10 keep changing, and all the others keep changing. You know, at FTSE, for example, you know, how many companies have gone in and out in a space of 1 or 2 years? All the tech companies that are there, they've gone into, we're talking about, when was it? Tesla just got in, I think, the S&P 500 after a fantastic journey, a fantastic, you know, growth over the past year or so. But how long is Tesla going to be there? Nobody really knows. So companies keep coming in and out of the indexes, and that's because some of them manage to adapt and others don't. And so what is actually business agility for you? Let's forget about that Menti, because otherwise we'll spend a lot of time. So this is the definition of the Agile, from the Agile Business Consortium. So business agility is the ability of an organization to respond rapidly and flexibly to customer demands. Second, adapt and lead change in a productive and cost-effective way without compromising quality. That's, I think, very important. Third, continuously be at a competitive advantage. It's all about the competitive advantage, right? And we've heard this so many times. And adapt quickly to market changes, internally and externally. So these 4 definitions actually are there to define what business agility is from the Agile Business Consortium. This is available online. Another definition that I actually prefer is from the Business Agility Institute in US. And it says business agility is the speed and effectiveness with which an organization can learn, create insights, and respond to achieve desired outcomes for customers, colleagues, and the organization. So it's not only for customers, it's also for our internal purposes. You know, our colleagues, the workforce in general, our stakeholders within the company, our business. So let's just analyze speed and effectiveness, which organization can learn. So learning is really important. We talked about learning organizations, and with that learning comes creating insights. So it's not only about learning, it's about creating insights and respond to what we've learned, to the insights that we are discovering every week or every quarter or every month, whatever it is, the cadence, and then actually address them from an hypothesis point of view. So creating hypotheses and actually experimenting with those hypotheses. And we're going to look into that in detail. So that's the definition from the Business Agility Institute, which I actually prefer and like, and we've adopted this one. So put simply, it is about delivering better, happier, safer, sooner value. So, or BVSSH as you used to call it. So better value, sooner, safer, happier. And this is something that Deloitte has put together. So I work for Deloitte, and John Smart, if you do a Google search, you will find it as well. John has just written a book about safer, happier, better, safer, happier. And it's all about improved quality of service delivery to the company and members. And you can have a number of metrics around this subject and around a better quality. So number of incidents, for example, and how we are training over time. Are we reducing the number of incidents with the changes that we are putting across? You know, are we aiming to reduce that or not? Sooner, some of the metrics is throughput, flow efficiency, and reduced lead time to deliver. All extremely important metrics that used to be taken into account only for factories and industries that require, you know, value streams analysis. But now actually every company is looking into this, because it's through flow efficiency that you increase the flow. Analyzing frequently flow efficiency, one of the metrics used for example, Kanban, allows you to actually check how much time our customers need to wait to get something out of the door. Yeah. Safer is all about continuous compliance, especially in financial services. This is extremely important. Not just tick boxes, but also making sure that we've got just enough of compliance in order to move things, you know, improve the flow, and making sure that our business are getting the results and the outcomes that they want in a safe environment. Happier is about our colleagues and customers. This can be measured by NPS surveys, but can also be measured by internal surveys, or where we actually analyze that. Do our colleagues actually know what they need to do? Do they actually know what they are contributing to their work? Is their work actually being used to deliver the strategy of the company or not? And obviously, if it is, then they will feel a lot happier than if it is not, because, you know, their work will be contributing directly to move the company from where it is into the next level set up as by the CEO. And then value is all about business outcomes, and we can think about OKRs and writing business outcomes in a way that expresses maximum value for our business, and also provides a language of experimentation and alignment throughout our stakeholders, so that everyone understands what we're trying to define, what we're trying to deliver, and you know, happiness levels get increased because of that alignment, collective ownership, and collective wisdom. So having said that, let's go into the next slide, which actually tries to explain the difference between outputs and outcomes. So this is a famous slide from Henrik Nyberg. Henrik was working for Spotify, became famous when he was working for Spotify. You know, I think the Spotify model was like marketed and advertised by him, but he also talks about other things, especially business value. And so the picture, what's showing there, is actually the difference between outputs and value, and, you know, and or outcomes. So there is the top level and and lower level. Can anyone unmute themselves and actually explain what the difference is? What do you see in these two pictures?
Well, the first one is about volume, but the second one is about the quality related to the volume. The qualities or values.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. Yeah, I like that. So as you can see, the guy, so the guy is supposed to be, you know, on the same team, but this guy at the bottom is actually selecting the golden features. Let's call it features, you know, the golden pieces or bricks or whatever you want to call it. But let's think about this as features. Yeah. And if these bricks represent features, what is actually selecting, picking to put in a truck is actually the features that provide the highest business value. Whilst this guy is just, you know, regardless of whatever, you know, everything is the same for him. So here on the top, he's think about it as we are measuring success by the number of features that we deliver from a release, for example. Yeah. So I don't know if you've experienced this before. I've seen companies measuring number of features delivered in the release, number of successful features delivered in the release, and they think that success is associated with that volume. But actually, you know, you could deliver like 3 or 4 features that are worth a lot more than 100 features of unknown value. So this is what the slide is showing. Basically, if you pick the highest value, you know, 4 features could be equivalent to all these X amount of features, you know, because the value that this delivers to our business, to our clients, is very well known, is understood, and is actually quantifiable. Whilst this one is just like a feature factory. So we are delivering features without actually knowing what value they bring to our business. And so this is about prioritizing based on value, prioritizing based on other factors, which could be value and duration, for example. Yeah, cost of delay, for example, cost of delay of delivering CD3, you know, value over duration is extremely important. Other examples include, like, how many of us have actually been in transformations where the measure of success of an agile transformation is actually number of teams that we can convert or transform from waterfall into agile by Christmas, you know. And they say, well, we need to, you know, we've got 130 teams and we need to make sure that everyone is agile by Christmas. And of course, it becomes again an output measure rather than actually understanding what is the value of actually providing these teams the ability to start delivering in an agile fashion. So what do we get out of converting these teams from waterfall to agile is a much better measure of success rather than just number of teams that we can actually convert. Because most of these teams, that when they get converted, they're not actually being agile, they are actually doing agile because it takes time for that impact to come through, right? So outcome is a different way of assessing success. But what we see in most companies is actually people talking about output measures rather than actually outcome. You know, why do we do this? Why do we want agile in a company? Not just agile for fragile, yeah, or agile for agile's sake. We need to understand what is the value that agile is going to bring us. You know, is it like people that are delivering in an agile way? Are they bringing features to market faster? Possibly, but we need to think about what could be a better measure of success when we try to actually you know, create feature teams or agile teams. Here in this, I'm not going to show the video, but you've got the link here if you want to take a screenshot of this. It's an excellent video that explains exactly the same thing from Jeff Patton. And what, even though it's a little bit heavy here, but I would strongly recommend you watch the video in your own time. And what Jeff is saying here is that most startups and other companies, they start with a vision and a strategy, and they've got thousands and thousands of different ideas. So everyone has got loads and loads and loads of ideas. Everyone thinks that those ideas are better than everyone else's. And so always starts with massive amount of ideas and a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement. And people start delivering those ideas without understanding what the real value is for our customers. And so the problems we see with startups is that they have too many ideas, so always too many. Most of those ideas actually suck because they've not been validated with the business. And we cannot tell which. And everyone is overconfident in their own ideas without actually following up with the business and finding out, is this what you expect? So instead of having all those ideas, it would be much better to actually focus on what are those ideas that actually bring the best behavior in our customers and the best satisfaction level. And Jeff calls that an outcome. So ideas that have got that generate behavior changes and satisfaction levels to increase are outcome. And then Jeff makes a distinction between an outcome and an impact. And impact are those ideas that actually, after a period of time, generate a change in our ROI, so return on investment, an increase on return on investment, an increase on market share, or an increase on our brand awareness. So these he also calls lagging indicators. So lagging indicators are the changes that we see. We put something in production, and after a period of time, let's say after 3 months or 6 months, you start seeing our market share increase, or our return on investment increasing, or the brand becomes a lot more known and famous. And those are what Jeff calls impact measures. They are measuring what's the impact over a period of time, or also known as lagging indicators. And then as opposed to those metrics that when you put something in production, you can immediately notice a change. So this is the metrics that actually respond to how do we know that whatever we put in production caused an immediate impact or an immediate change in our customer base. Like, for example, if you're starting an online platform, the moment you put an online platform in production, you should expect a number of online applications being submitted. So that could be a leading indicator, because you immediately see a change in the system. You get people using it. So that confirms that the online platform is actually working because people are using it and people are submitting online. Yeah. So that's immediate. Whilst the lagging indicators are the ones that actually change customer market share or brand awareness or return on investment over a period of time, or even cut costs, reduction in costs over a period of time. So Jeff is very adamant that we should stop talking about goals and objectives and instead talk about outcomes and impact. So watch this video in your own on your own time, and I'm sure you will agree with me. And it's also about building less. No point in building a lot of stuff that we don't understand or we don't know the value. It's important to actually build only the features or build on those ideas that actually are going to bring you the outcomes and the impact that you need for your business to succeed. So I hope you've taken a note of this link, maybe a screenshot, and you can watch the video in your own time. Yeah, it's really worth 10 minutes well spent. So just to summarize, most organizations are making decisions related to outputs, and therefore those decisions may not be directly related to the quality and or impact of their services. And those are the companies that are not going to succeed in the next few years or so. So an example of an output is created at the end of a process. So potential outputs might be, for example, the number of shoes sold in a shoe shop, number of training classes delivered by a training facility. So it's all about numbers. It's all about volume. But an outcome on the other side quantifies a level of performance or achievement, change of behavior, result of an activity, service or organization provided, etc. Yeah. So impactful outcomes or impact measures are, for example, increase in awareness by a percentage, or increase in market share, or increase of customer retention, or measures such as this that are observed over a period of time. For us, for me, in the context of this presentation, I talk about outcomes, being outcomes as in Jeff definition, but also impact. And what I prefer to say is actually, let's call everything an outcome, and then let's talk about leading and lagging indicators. So leading, immediate when you put in production, lagging after, observed after a period of time. Are there any questions so far? I don't want to go too far if it's not clear enough. Yeah, okay, so I'll carry on then. And what I'm going to kind of recommend or suggest is a template for outcome creation. So you may be aware, or you may have seen OKRs, or objective and key results. What I'm now suggesting is based on that same concept, where there is an objective, it's aligned in the sense that there's a conversation, people talk about it, and actually they agree what are the key results. Rather than call it an objective, let's call it an outcome. And let's talk about an outcome template. Yeah. So also, it's always based on a hypothesis, because when we write an outcome, it's always based on what our best knowledge is at that point in time when we write it, or co-write it. Ideally co-written by an organization, so by a number of people that actually join together to discuss, what that outcome could be. That's how it works the best, when people get together and actually align and talk about a specific outcome. So here it is. So we believe that doing something, we call that a capability, for a specific persona will result in an outcome. And we'll know we're successful when we've got a number of key results that are met. So as an example, for a new bank account creation, we believe that launching a new bank account for young CEOs, so young CEOs of startups is actually the persona, will result in this outcome, which is an increase of market share of SPM. Now, please note that I did not put a percentage increase here. I just generically mention what the outcome is, and I'm going to define the measures of success of this outcome in the key results. So we'll know we are successful when small business membership increases by 25%. So that's the increase of market share, so at least 25%. And also NPS for 50% of SP members increases from 8 to 9. So two key results. They're both lagging. Oops, sorry. They're both lagging because you might not get an increase immediate because it takes time to achieve this, right? So 25% increase, it will probably take a couple of months. And the NPS, obviously, you're going to need to submit or request the surveys, NPS surveys, so to increase from 8 to 9. So when do we know that we succeeded is whenever these two conditions are met. Then we'll know, okay, actually we succeeded. I could have put a leading indicator there as well that would have immediately tell me, okay, yeah, we've delivered. We are now receiving applications. And whenever these are met, the whole outcome would have been delivered. So this takes a number of months to realize. Whenever we get these questions answered, we will know that we've achieved the outcome. Yeah. I could also have put, a time bound here. So I could have said small business membership increases by 25% by end of the year. In this case, I've not put because this is when we do this business outcomes, we usually have a parent, and the parent is what we call an initiative, a 12 months initiative. So this initiative usually contains that period of time that we are running the business outcomes under. Okay, so it's usually bound for 12 months for an initiative, whilst these business outcomes are usually time bound for a quarter, so around 3 months. That's the recommendation. Okay, so just to break away from that, I don't want to put too much knowledge at once. So I'm just wanting to show an activity which is inspired by Vincent van Gogh that you all can use on your own teams if you want to explain the difference between output and outcome. So having gone through this journey myself, I know it's not straightforward. It takes time for people to understand. Okay, so this is a game or an activity that you can easily use for your own teams to explain how do you identify an outcome and how do you identify an output. Yeah. So if you divide a team into two, imagine you are the facilitator, you are in the middle. You've got one table, group one, and you give this brief, and you get another table, group two, and you give this brief. So the kind of the generic, the first sentence is the same. Draw a beautiful summer meadow with blue and red flowers in green grass, some cows and birds under a shining sun. So this is inspired, as I said, Van Gogh meadow, cows in a meadow painting. It's a famous painting from 1883. And in group two, so the first sentence is the same. Draw a beautiful summer meadow with 10 blue flowers with 5 petals each, 5 blue flowers with 6 petals each, 13 red flowers with 6 petals each, and so on and so forth. So, what you see here is a very output-oriented brief, and what you see here is an outcome-oriented brief. And you see how people react. Obviously, they don't know the briefs are different. They think they are working on the same thing, but they are not. And let's look at what the results are. So we've got this group and this group. What do you think this group is focusing on? And by the way, this lady here is a facilitator, so she's not actually part of the group. She's just watching, she's just observing. Yeah? So just by looking into here, what do you think they're focusing on?
It's almost like a checklist, is it, that they're going to there?
It is a checklist, actually. If you see, this is a checklist on the right? So what this group here is doing is actually going through the list and just tracking it out, and just building, and in this case, you can only see 2, but I've seen other cases where there is a rounded table and they're all taking one item at a time. They're working in silos and they're working one item at each one and actually ticking against the boxes. So they are ticking boxes really, so this is what they've done here. You see the items that are in blue. Mind you, the fact that it's time boxed to 5 minutes also puts some pressure in it, right? So they have to finish all that. They've got to go through all this list and they've got to finish in 5 minutes. What they have not done is actually try to understand why we're doing this. What's the purpose? What's the outcome really? They've just followed what the brief said. And whilst on the right, what is this group focusing on? Well, they're trying to understand what does it mean to draw a beautiful summer meadow? What does it need to have? Okay, some blue and red flowers, green grass, some cows. So let's talk about how to statically or how to actually draw this in the best way possible. That's what they are doing. So they are communicating a lot better. They've elected one person to actually draw, and they are talking and they're saying, okay, it looks like, you could put some flowers there, you could put some cows here, you could put a shining sun, some clouds, and so on and so forth. And so there's a lot more collaboration in this group. And so this is an example. What do you think is here on the left? Let's talk about the left first. Is it an outcome or is it an output?
An outcome.
Yeah. And what do
Outcome.
you? Yeah. And on the right is output. Which one do you think looks better?
On the left.
Yeah.
Left, definitely.
Do you all agree that this is a lot better because there was an agreement, an alignment, a conversation, and these guys here just basically, you know, they drew all the red flowers together, the blue flowers, you know. Some cows are upside down. I've seen cows upside down in some, not in this one, but yeah, in they're all different, and it looks like just volume, output delivery rather than outcome.
There's no green meadow either.
Yeah,
It's
true.
part of the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you think that this is a coincidence, well, I've done it thousands of times. This is just an example, you know, many times. It always works, and it makes and then after the exercise, you actually show and let them comment and let them actually discuss and say what they've learned, and they will go through this experience of understanding what an outcome is and what an output is as well. Yeah. And so as you can see, this is outcomes, a lot better organized pictures, and these are outputs, which really they actually meet what the brief says. They say what is on the box, but actually they don't look as good as the ones that have come through an outcome.
Paulo, can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Would it be fair to say that outcome is more geared towards customer satisfaction and output is probably just geared towards ticking the box to say, yep, we've delivered something? Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah. So this is exactly what Jeff says. Jeff Patton says exactly that, Femi. So he says that, you know, forget about what you think is good for your customers, you know, because you might, you know, startups have got thousands and thousands of ideas. They all suck. There are too many. Actually focus on what are those ideas that actually deliver or you know, create an impact on your customers, or deliver behavior changes, or deliver things that the customers want. So yeah, it's exactly that. You know, so think about what a good matter looks like. Don't just, you know, do something that you think is delivering, you know, what a customer wants.
I would say we should focus more on what the customer wants rather on what the customer asks.
Yeah, and also many times actually even what the customer needs, because customers don't know what they want unless they see something. Yeah, so they start seeing something, and then, you know, and so this is one of the reasons why we break away from projects and we go into products or business outcomes, because they are much smaller. Products deliver much faster, shorten the feedback loops, so that you show something small, let's call it the MVP, the minimum viable product, or a minimum marketable feature, MMF, and actually get feedback from the users to actually confirm that this is what the users actually want. And we all know that they don't know what they want until they see something, you know, and then new ideas will generate, and new ideas, you know, they will either confirm that this is what you want, by which you will be happier because you know that you're working on the right thing, or they will say, no, actually this is not what we want, and again you'll be happy again because you didn't have too many sunk costs. Imagine if you spent 1 year working on a project and then deliver that project to a customer, and they say, oh, this is not what we wanted. What a waste, right? 1 year of sunk costs. So reducing that a lot smaller, so delivering smaller chunks of functionality, working end to end, because that's important, needs to work end to end. So vertical slices of functionality is a lot better, because then you actually deliver things that you want, that the customer is taking advantage of, so it's starting to use, and you feel a lot happier because you know, okay, actually we are on the right path. We're not going to have surprises at the end.
I have a short intervention now. Users and customers how do you feel about the concept of a stakeholder as the people and things that give the requirements for the system?
Yeah, so stakeholders represent our customers, right? So stakeholders, who is a stakeholder for you, Tom?
Well, take a simple example. The European privacy laws,
Yeah.
the GDPRS, is in fact a stakeholder because they give requirements that you have to respect. So in other words, there are some non-human stakeholders as well as human stakeholders who are not users and not customers that you have to respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So again, in business enterprise, you have to look at a bigger picture here than just a little IT system for some users. You have to look at the world surrounding the business, and let's call that the stakeholder environment.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that.
Okay.
And in some cases, it's not actually possible to inquire every single customer that you have. It's just not possible. But in that case, you need to use, who within the businesses. What's important is actually, every bank will have a business and will have an IT function, right? And what's important is actually asking those stakeholders from the business, because they've got the best knowledge of what our customers want. Why? Well, because they are interacting with our customers every day, whilst IT is not. IT is only interacting with the bugs, with the problems. IT does not have an idea of what our customers really want, what feedback do they give. That's the business. The business actually have, and therefore it should be the business driving the features or the solutions, not IT, because that knowledge is not as strong as with the business.
Okay. I have one more intervention, if I can.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So talking a lot about the outcomes and things like that, I've learned that you can't just focus on these nice outcomes. You have to focus on the short-term and long-term costs of getting them, the values for money. And anybody who just focuses on the outcomes risks getting an extremely expensive solution without even realizing it and getting stuck with it. How do you feel about that, looking at the costs, short-term and long-term, together with the outcomes?
Yeah. No, so what you're going to see this a little bit later.
Okay.
But what you'll see is that each outcome has got a parent, and that parent has got how much, and obviously these outcomes are all funded somehow, and they are not, they're not unlimited funding. They need to have some funding upfront, and they are funded by the fixed capacity that the teams have to deliver them. So yeah, so there is always a cost, and obviously, some hypothesis on how much return they're going to get as a result of being selected to be delivered. So just on this is just a small observation. Obviously, change is messy, but it's even tougher if people are not focused on the same outcome. So, and this is just a statement just to show that from my experience with my clients, defining outcomes, it's not just about one person defining them, because I've spoken to different people and the interpretations are completely different. So it's important to co-create outcomes rather than one person bringing an outcome and expect that everyone else understands that outcome in the same way. Okay, so it's important to co-create and gain that alignment, just like we do refinement in Scrum and in users with user stories. It's important to do refinement and co-creation with outcomes as well. Improvement kata. So I've explained that we've mentioned that we're going to talk about improvement kata, and this was developed first by Toyota, and kata being obviously a Japanese word used in martial arts. So kata is those things that they need. For example, karate. Each belt has got a kata that they need to answer or to demonstrate in an exam environment. So that's what they repeatedly do in order to grade, to the next level, next belt in martial arts. And here is the same thing. So kata here means just repetition. Why is it repetition? Well, because it just shows us that we always need to have a North Star. So our direction, our vision, our, wherever we want to be at some point in future. But we can't just aim to move directly into there. So before getting there, we need to see where we are, our current condition, where we are at the moment, and where we can be within the next, maybe next 3 months. This is our suggestion. Our next target condition, realistic target condition. This is, yeah. And of course, to move from the current condition into the next achievable, realistic target condition, there is a number of experiments that we need to conduct. Some of them will succeed, some of them will not succeed, will fail. And that's just part of the way it is, and with the failures, we need to learn what we have to improve for next time. And so there is always something that moves you forward and something that moves you backwards. And these are the experiments or the hypotheses that you are actually trying to deliver in order to meet that outcome and move towards the next target condition. So there is only, this is a different way of seeing it, there is always an amount of awareness, an amount of space that we can actually see. And this keeps moving, once we move here, maybe we've chosen something that will move us backwards. There are lots of obstacles on the way before we can actually reach the target condition. And here is the source, so Toyota Kata Practice Guide. This is how we advocate, we work on outcomes, on business outcomes, is number one. So let's try to work backwards. Number one is actually understand who will benefit out of writing this outcome. So as I said, co-writing it within a business function, perhaps with IT listening to it as well. And the first thing to think about is, who will benefit from it. So who is actually going to, what segment in the business is actually going to benefit from this outcome? For example, young people, young professionals, first-time home buyers, whatever we are actually addressing. And then let's look into the leading indicators. Yeah, so these are things that are observed the moment you put the application in production. So for example, if you're talking about an online application, the moment you put in production, you're going to get 5K visits. This shows that the application is actually working, or downloads, a certain amount of downloads on the first day, or maybe on the second day, or 100 online applications immediately on the first day. 90% right first time. So we know that we've delivered this when these leading indicators are met. And then, of course, the outcome hypotheses that are, bets, have this format. So due to this insight, so there's something that we've learned, something that we've read, something that our customers have told us. We believe that doing this activity or delivering this, application, or whatever it is that we want to do, will result in an outcome, and we'll know we're successful when we've got a number of key results, leading and lagging indicators. So here is an example. Due to, and this is for a bank, by the way, due to fewer branch visits, we all know that our physical branches are closing down in our high streets, because everyone can do stuff online. But one of the things that they cannot actually do online is actually online ID verification doesn't exist yet, or it's rare for a bank to allow ID verification online. And so, I've seen now starting with passport online verification. So it only works with British passports though. For European passports, it doesn't work because obviously UK does not have access to European passport agencies. And so if you have a British passport, you can now do online British passport verification, but not all banks are doing it. So due to this insight, fewer branch visits, we believe that piloting online ID verification will result in delighting our customers and maintaining our market share. And we'll know we're successful when, you know, a number of key results are met. Again, so whilst these are leading indicators, these ones here are lagging indicators, so impact metrics. So key results, impact metrics. Some examples are improved NPS from 6 to 8, enabled 2% more first-time home buyers to own property, increased market share from 55% to 65%. So what you can see here, something very specific, something not ambiguous, you know, it's specific, it's very clear. Measure of success is very well defined. Yeah, and there is a clear change in customer behavior. That's what a lagging indicator is. So lagging indicator is if you put yourself from the destination, are our expectations met? So if you think about this, we're looking to get this impact measured after 1 year. So put yourself there at that level and see, you know, did we increase 25% of market share yet or not? If not, then the outcome is not delivered yet. If yes, great, that's it, we are on track, or we have delivered. Or are we aiming to deliver, you know, 5% every quarter towards the 20% end of year target? If yes, great, we are on track. If not, maybe we need to readjust the lagging indicator at the end of the year. And the leading indicator is forwards facing, and it answers the question, are we there yet? So how many of us have had children in the car where you know, the children keep asking us, you know, we're going for a long journey, keep asking us, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And that's exactly what the leading indicator is. You know, have we met the measure of success when we put it in production? Did we reach our destination? That's what the leading indicator is. Yeah. Let's see how we're doing with time. Yeah. Okay. Due to custom, so here is an example of an initiative. So as I said, an initiative is the parent of a business outcome. So if a business outcome, if you agree with your business that a business outcome is a 3 months piece, an initiative as a parent could be maybe about a 1 year amount of work that you need to deliver. And an initiative will have a number of business outcomes that you want to deliver perhaps every quarter. So what this is showing here is due to a customer surveys revealing that 90% of our customers prefer to submit finance applications online. So again, this is an insight as opposed to finance applications via telephone conversations. We believe that creating an online web platform to enable customers to receive a quote, you know, and that platform needs to be available 24/7, 365 days a year, will result in an increase of leads and an increase of sales. And we know we're successful when, you know, here are some lagging indicators. We have increased lead generation by 30%. We have increased sales of insurance package by 15%. We've increased profit by 5%, and we've saved 100K in resource costs. You know, these are FTE reductions. So answering phones, because we are now automating. So we are phasing down our phone service. Yeah, so this is very real. This is actually it's a real scenario from a customer. And this is what they want to achieve over a period of 1 year. Okay, so it's not immediate. It's a 1 year kind of initiative. We don't call it a project, we just call it an initiative. And now this is going to be broken down or delivered by a number of business outcomes. One example of a business outcome is this one, which is actually creating a basic functionality, so MVP, where users can input all personal details, select a price range for the vehicle they wish to purchase, and add duration of repayment plan. So this is, again, it's an online platform, which will result in an increase of leads and increase of insurance package sales. And this will meet with 5% of increased lead generation. So if I show you the parent, it says 30%. 30% for 1 year, but the first 3 months, we aim to achieve 5%. So we believe that this BO, business outcome, will result in 5% of the 30% that we aim to achieve per year. So you see the relationship, parent-child relationship. So here we've got a parent that is aiming to achieve 30%, and we start with this first business outcome that is aiming to achieve 5% of the 30%. And in terms of increased sales of insurance pack, which is 15% in 1 year, in the first quarter, we are aiming for 2%. And profit 0.5 out of the 5%. And 10K resource costs saving, 10K from the 100K. So here are lagging indicators from the business outcome that is quarterly, less than 3 months, the first 3 months perhaps, that is actually directly linking to the parent initiatives lagging indicators. So there is a relationship. So even though I don't say, I don't give any idea of time bound, it's clearly for less than 1 year, yeah, because this contributes to the parent, which is scoped to 1 year, yeah. So and again, this is only one business outcome. There will be other business outcomes that are also children of that initiative. Okay. I'm going to have to skip this because this is, I didn't mean to show this. These are now some triggers of an outcome-based lean portfolio system. So why are we doing an outcome-based lean portfolio? Is because number one, our CEOs have a strategy to deliver, but they have no idea how to how to actually have a view of what's getting delivered by the workforce. And typically, if you look into the CEO timeline, usually companies change CEOs every 3 years. And you know, based on our experience, what we see is actually CEOs changing faster than they can actually deliver their strategy. And what happens when a new CEO comes in? The strategy changes. So the teams change, the senior leadership changes, as well as the strategy. So what happens to the previous strategy? Nobody knows. And so it's been a massive waste. So that's why we advocate that when we create a strategy, you need to make sure that you've got ways to see if that strategy is being delivered by when and by whom. So having a link from the strategy into the lower level levels of your portfolio is extremely important to verify when your strategy is going to be delivered and who is actually delivering it. So some of the questions the CEO may have is, are we actually working on the right things? So if the CEO defines the strategy, how can the CEO actually be reassured that the right things are being worked by the company? And from a bottom line, you know, from the ground force, do our teams understand our strategy? This is extremely important because if they know, first of all, if they understand the strategy, they can actually predict what they should be working and they can actually focus on the items that are actually delivering the strategy rather than focusing on items that they don't believe is going to deliver or contribute to for the company to move to the next level. So what do you think it makes our teams happier? The fact that they know they're working towards delivering the strategy, or the fact they are working towards what their manager actually tells them to do? They will be a lot happier if they know they are working towards strategic outcomes because they know they're contributing to the success and future of the company, right? I think we can all agree with that. So what we are suggesting is actually the strategy delivered by a number of different portfolio items, starting at the top with something that actually we call strategic theme or strategic themes. It doesn't really matter what name you call them. What matters here for the purpose of this session is that you understand that there are very large programs of change, multi-year things that companies want to deliver. If you talk about Tesla, for example, their main strategic theme is actually electrification. or electric vehicles. Tesla is all about electric vehicles. If you talk about other car manufacturers in the world, one of their strategic themes will undoubtedly be electric vehicles. Yeah, so that's a theme that is actually going to take a number of years to deliver. It's not going to be delivered soon, and the technology is evolving very fast. But we don't have a deadline to deliver electrification. And electrification is not only about electric vehicles, it's also about other electric type of products. For example, solar panels or better batteries, or whatever it is that can actually generate energy. And so if we consider that to be a multi-year large program of change, what we're saying is that actually it helps if you deliver that by a number of smaller number of years. So what we have next to it is actually an organizational outcome. So think about this as the parent level of the portfolio strategic theme, which is being delivered by a number of organizational outcomes. So it could be one or more. So one strategic theme, whatever that is, has got a number of children, which are what we call an organizational outcome with 3 years or less. And each one of these organization outcomes, 3 years or less, then gets delivered by even smaller change programs, which we call initiatives, so 12 months or less. These are all recommendations. It doesn't mean that you need to follow this exactly, yeah? So 3 years, 12 months is whatever the organization finds appropriate for the organization. You could have less levels as well. So this organization has chosen to have this amount of levels. So strategic theme at the top, then organization outcomes 3 years or less, initiatives 12 months or less, and then business outcomes, which are quarterly, so 3 months or less. And then obviously each business outcome is apparent to a number of features. And these are if you use Jira, you'll be familiar with epics in Jira, right? So these are your epics, and they will be recommended to be 1 month or less. And then of course, each epic has got a number of user stories. For user stories, we recommend 1 to 3 days, and each user story may have some people who still use tasks, which we recommend 8 hours or less. Quick question. Anyone knows why we recommend 8 hours for tasks, 1 to 3 days for stories? Any ideas?
Is it because of the amount of refinement that is required for stories?
Yes, also, and what else?
Because we have to go backwards and forward with the stakeholder with lots of questions for clarification.
True. Okay, let's start with tasks. Why do we recommend 8 hours or less? So less is better, right? So less than 8 hours. Why do we recommend for tasks? When you do the stand-ups every day, and we go via the board, you walk the board, right? If you have more than 8 hours for a task, what do you see?
So that we can finish it off within a day or less.
Yes, and you see what? You want to see, what do you want to see?
Success.
Completion.
You want to see flow. You want to see flow on your stand-ups. So you want to see tasks moving from left to right to do in progress done in less than a day or 1 day max. So what you want to see is actually a quick movement, or at least like if you see a task in the same place for more than 1 day, you should be asking questions. Can we help you? I see that I've noticed that this task has been 2 days in the same column. Can we actually help? Are you blocked? That's what the question should be on a stand-up, because we assume that a task should be less than 8 days. So the real, what we're trying to achieve here is flow. So smaller tasks will have a better flow. That's why I talked about flow metrics such as throughput. Throughput is all about flow, right? How many items can you deliver in a sprint or in a cadence of 2 weeks? Stories 1 to 3 days is exactly for the same reason. So if you aim to have smaller stories, you will see stories flowing faster in your sprint. Also, it will mean more collaboration within your team. So in your Scrum, do you see all stories open till the end of the sprint, or do you actually want to see stories finishing every 2 to 3 days? And therefore, the red line on Jira burn down actually matching or getting closer to the gray line, which is the ideal line. Yeah, so you do that by actually giving a preference to smaller stories where people can actually collaborate more. And with features or epics in Jira is the same thing. You want to have features that have a planned start date and a planned end date because you want to see flow. So this is all about flow. It's all about increasing throughput. And you want to think about these features as MVPs, not categories. We've all been there. I've been a developer myself, so I know that our temptation is actually to deliver features as categories, i.e. they are categories of stuff. They remain open throughout the life cycle of the product. And no one is actually trying to close them. And what we are advocating is actually treat epics as MVPs, as features, as proper features that deliver value to our customers. And by having that, you want to define those features, and you want to make sure that they've got a planned start date and a planned end date, and you want to show them on your product roadmap so that you know exactly when they are going to start and when they're going to end. And when you finish a feature, try to get feedback from the users just to confirm that this is what they really want. And if they want extra things, they ask for more things, no problem, just create another feature that increments the functionality of the first feature rather than reopening the first feature. Okay, so that's how we actually see flow, things moving from left to right. And also when you mark a feature as done, what happens from an happiness point of view? People feel happy because they've completed something. They've actually put something in production. And happiness levels go up. It's all about making your teams happier by having things that you are actually completing over a period of time. So this is all again about flow and happiness. So just to summarize, what we are suggesting, obviously, stories that are children of epics. Now let's start from the top. So strategic themes delivered by a number of organizational outcomes, 3 years or less. Each organizational outcome delivered by a number of multiple initiatives, 12 months or less. Each initiative delivered by a number of business outcomes, 3 months or less. Each business outcome delivered by a number of features or epics, 1 month or less, and each epic delivered by a number of stories, 3 days or less. So that's how we see the strategy being linked to the work, to the execution, to the work that the team is actually delivering. This is how you can link strategy to execution in a very easy way. I've done this using Jira and Confluence. It's possible to use Jira and Confluence and do this. It requires some work, but if you want a better tool, I would recommend Rally. Rally does this very, very well, and we've used extensively. Let's just, so now see how this works. Actually, I didn't want to show this slide. Didn't want to. So there are some basic rules. If you think about initiatives and organizational outcomes, the large programs of change are the verticals. And if you think about your horizontals as being the long-lived product teams, the intersection between the horizontals and the verticals is what a business outcome really is. Okay, so if you want to know who is going to deliver this business outcome and when, you can very well map this in your roadmap by just doing something like this. So this is Q1, Q2, and you can see that for this product, the intersection between this initiative and this long-lived product team will create this business outcome. So this business outcome is going to be delivered by these teams, yeah, and it's going to be done on Q1. In the same way, in Q2, these teams are going to deliver these 2 business outcomes. Imagine this initiative could be GDPR. Someone talked about GDPR, right? So this initiative could be about GDPR, and GDPR is a cross-cutting initiative. It affects lots of products within our organization. So these are the expectations from GDPR changes within our product lines. And I know exactly when, each business outcome for GDPR is going to be delivered. This could be another regulation. It could be, I don't know, MiFID, or it could be Dodd-Frank or whatever. Or it could be a return on investment initiative. And I will know exactly when is it going to be delivered and who is going to be delivered, because it's all mapped up, quarter by quarter. And then we've got a very, small number of rules. So no orphans, which means that we need to have discipline. No story can be an orphan story. So for a story to exist, it needs to have a feature. For a feature to exist, it needs to have a business outcome. For a business outcome to exist, it needs to have an initiative. So every single item that we're working on needs to have a parent, one single parent, because that's how we link strategy to execution. So it is usually a top-down, from the top strategy up to the story level. Some other things. So start small. So one experiment, rule of one team, one location. Don't try to create this for the entire company at once, because it's too much and it might fail too fast. And having a rule of one, starting with one team only, it helps, because then you learn much faster what worked, what did not work, because each organization has got a different culture. And focus on flow always. It's always about flow. So visualize, stabilize, optimize, limit work in progress, and stop starting, start finishing. Really important in any Kanban board or even Scrum. Even on Scrum, if you have 5 stories, don't start all stories at once. Start 1 or 2. Make sure that the first one finishes before you start a third. Make sure the second one finishes before you start the fourth. And so with that, you are limiting work in progress in Scrum, and you are also improving on collaboration, throughput, decreasing lead time, and increasing flow efficiency. That's all what you want. So again, measure safer, measure sooner from BVSSH. This is what we call a rolling wave plan, which means that every quarter, where we are, we have high confidence of what we're doing. But what comes next, as I said in the beginning now, we may not have clarity about what we're going to do 2 quarters ahead. We've got some clarity of what we are working at the moment. We've got extremely, high confidence of what we're working at the moment. Imagine this is Q1. What comes next, we've got some clarity, medium confidence. After that, low confidence, and quarter 4, 3 quarters ahead of what the current quarter is, we have no idea. But nothing stops it. It doesn't mean that we can't plan for it. Obviously, we can plan for it, but all we're saying is that we're not sure if it's going to happen. It's likely that it might not happen. And with each quarter, we are actually learning. Really, really important. Because these things can change as a result of what the competition tells us, as a result of what feedback we're getting from our customers on each quarter. And finally, the last slide, just showing learning loops. So we've got daily with stand-ups. Obviously, we learn a lot from the work the team is doing. Weekly with our retrospectives and planning, and obviously show and tells monthly. And then quarterly, what we are trying to advocate is actually outcome key results. And then yearly, with our initiatives, always paying attention to lagging indicators, and of course, multi-year with our top level strategic themes. Any questions? Anything that anyone would like to ask at this point? I know it was a lot of content, but I'm available for any questions you may have. So you can unmute yourselves if you have any questions.
Well, I have posted one on the chat. So we
Okay.
discussed about outcomes and impacts, and we put that in the frame of time. But when we keep time in place, then it's again goals and objectives, isn't it? Or how do we differentiate really a goals and objectives from the outcomes and impacts? That's my question.
Okay, so let's go back to, so 1 second, let's bring this back. I wanted to show Jeff Patton's slide talks exactly about that. So the video is really, really good. Let me just show you, just reusing some.
Yes, I'm eager to watch, but yes, I have the link noted.
Yeah, sure. So, sorry, what happened? I've closed it. So what Jeff says is that outcomes are always focusing on behavior changes. So what can we put out there that generates behavior changes in our customers or satisfaction levels to increase or to improve from a customer point of view? Okay, so those are outcomes. We call it leading indicators. And what he also says is measures such as return on investment, market share, and brand awareness generate impact. So the impact long-term, well, not long-term, but not immediate. After you put something in production, you will not get return on investment. You will get return on investment after a period of time of measuring, how much volume of sales, for example, market share increase. It takes time to actually increase. So he calls those measures impact, and we call lagging indicators. He also calls lagging indicators in this video. So whilst we say outcome for both behavior and satisfaction changes as well as lagging indicators, he makes a distinction between what an outcome is and what impact is. And he's saying, please start using outcome and impact rather than goals and objectives, because goals and objectives do not necessarily measure impact and behavior changes. So goals and objectives might be linked to outputs rather than actually measuring behavior changes, satisfaction level increases, increase of market share, brand awareness, cost savings, whatever. Yeah, does that make sense, Satya?
Yep.
There is another question in the chat. I don't know if Simon, do you want to ask the question or should I? Okay, I go for it. So the question is, list amount of WIP as possible. Users should be involved before the end of the feature or no?
Before the end of the feature.
Yeah. Simon, if you can unmute yourself, please do.
So I guess the product owner is involved before the end of the feature, right? I don't know. I mean, are you talking about like
to create
feedback loops, shortened feedback loops?
Yeah, he cannot unmute himself because he doesn't have a mic, so we post it on the chat to create interactive feedback loops.
Well, if it is possible, yes, but it might be disruptive, especially if you have too many customers, too many users. What I've noticed from my experience, I don't know if anyone else would like to contribute as well, but if you ask too many people opinion, you are going to get lots of different opinions, right? So rather than when you're doing something, you want to focus on getting it done and then make it available to your users and measure feedback. Before getting it done, what I've seen is that if you ask that question to too many people, you're going to get too many answers. And you will not be able to focus on. But it might be different. So I rather, before getting it done, we ask the product owner. the product owner is actually this, a representative of your customers. I think it would be better to do what a product owner thinks it should be done, and then present to the users, and then get feedback from the users. I don't know if that answered your question. What do other people think?
I will agree with you because when usually we do have some feedback from users, but it's like key users. Someone is not like everybody. We do have selected key users that are involved in the process, and they do come to the reviews or to the kind of show and tell, as you want to call it, to actually give feedback on what they are feeling, how they are using it, and sometimes get feedback about improvement. So not the world open, but open to some key users for demos or public demonstrations usually, or if it's not live, at least in a way they can try it, but it's like a limited number.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are other people answering in the chat. Sorry, I had to stop sharing because I could not see the chat. Now I can see it. Okay. Thanks, Simon. I think we've answered. Any more questions?
I have something, but I would defer to other people since I already had a couple remarks.
It's okay, Tom. You can go ahead.
Okay.
I've got to say something. Am I audible? Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Carry on.
Anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Right. Getting back to your power users.
No, we can't. Sorry.
Getting back to your users. When you get into the final stage of a project, for instance, are you
Hi, sorry. It started okay, but then no, it started okay, but then it didn't work. Maybe you can put it in the chat. We'll go to you, Tom. And
wonder
then,
if you can hear that.
No, we can't hear you properly. It's cracking. Okay.
Okay, so I have a theory that there's a thing called stakeholder values, which in a way is the same as any business values, and that the most important stakeholder values to start managing better are the non-financial stakeholder values, because we're pretty good at understanding the financials. This is also known as the other side of the balanced scorecard. And I also believe that these values are what people want out of initiatives and projects and programs. They want change in a positive direction. And what I've learned is that if you, I think all people agree that if you could quantify all these non-financial values, you'd have better chance of managing things. And you've alluded to that many times, many ways. What I found is it is generally possible to quantify and measure all critical values if you put your mind to it and know how to do it. But that a lot of people give up. Take a simple value like security and then say how many people actually quantify that value. Take another IT quality like usability. And people constantly say, well, that's very important, but how would you quantify it? So the thing I'm sort of putting forward is I think we need to move in the direction of identifying what is critical for us. And then even if we don't immediately know how to quantify it and manage it, we try to break through. And the simplest way to learn to quantify any value is actually to Google it, like security metrics. And you'll find a lot of people who have already quantified any value you want to deal with.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Google something first, and also if something is not very well defined, try to break it into smaller chunks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I call that Cartesian decomposition.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So start small. Start small.
Absolutely.
and try to reach then the top level.
Hmm.
So that's exactly one of the things that we advocate, rule of one. Start small, one team, one outcome.
Yep. Yep.
Try to see what you learn out of it and then see how you can scale that up.
I agree completely. I have a little method called the 1-1-1-1-1-1 method. That means I agree with you about once.
Great. Okay, cool. That's good.
Let me, if you don't mind, Paulo, we are 3 minutes
Yeah.
over the time now, so maybe people have also their schedules. If anyone wants to proceed with some questions, and if Paulo is willing to answer, so please go ahead. Paulo has his contacts on the event page on Meetup, LinkedIn, and email, and I'm pretty sure that he will be happy to answer any of your queries in there as well. So for us today, the event is ending now. So just thank you, Paulo. It was great. I think the learning is about business agility, leading and lagging outcome metrics, that all understanding about how to linking from strategy to what actually comes into the end, that is the deliverables. So that was great learnings. I think I can speak for everybody, and for the message I was reading in the chat was great learnings for everybody. So for the ones who are looking for a renewal your Scrum Alliance credentials, so this meetup has offered you 1.5 SEUs. So just use the link of the event in your profile in Scrum Alliance and add it there. It will count towards your renewal. And we will have another event coming on the 13th of October, and will be with Valerio Zanini. He's a CST and will present Make a Great Tiramisu, Deliver Great Products. So, tweet title, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming,
Yes.
and that's all from us at Scrum Event. Thank you so much. Hope
Thank
to
you.
see
It
you
was
again soon.
Thank you very much.
great to see all of you. So
Thank you.
see you all next time in October.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.